All right, today we're diving deep into the 2025 India-US Defense Framework Agreement. And let me tell you, this is way more than just another deal. It's a move that could seriously reshape the global power map. So let's kick things off with something that might seem, well, a little weird. At the very moment India and the US are really going at it over trade and tariffs, they're also building what might be their deepest defense partnership ever. So what on earth is going on here? Right, so that immediately begs the question, how is it that security cooperation is suddenly so important? It's just overriding all this economic friction. What's the real game being played here? Well, a big part of the answer is right here, in this new framework. Signed in late 2025, this isn't some quick fix. No, this is a decade-long roadmap stretching all the way to 2035, and it's designed to weave their defense establishments together for the long haul. But, to really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to zoom out a bit. This agreement didn't just pop up overnight. It's really the final piece, the capstone on a 25-year strategic journey that has been slowly but very surely changing everything about this relationship. And this timeline, wow, it really lays it all out, doesn't it? You can see the whole story. It starts with simple political handshakes back in 2000. Then it builds some serious trust with that civil nuclear deal in '08. And after that, things just accelerate. You get the major defense partner status, then deep intelligence sharing with agreements like Becca. Every single step was a building block for the next one. And experts like Pramet Pal-Chowdhury from the Eurasia Group really nail it. He points out that this framework is basically the glue that holds all those earlier steps together. It makes everything official. It provides the legal and, let's face it, the bureaucratic muscle to turn all that talk into action, from joint military exercises to actually building things together. All right, so let's get to the why. Why is this all happening now? For that, we've got to look at the map. It's all about the massive strategic chessboard of the Indo-Pacific, where every single move is critical. Okay, and you can really see the grand strategy taking shape here. This isn't about one single base. It's about building a strategic network. You've got India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands, perfectly placed to watch the crucial Malacca Strait. Then you have the U.S. base at Diego Garcia serving as this massive logistics hub. And the Bay of Bengal? That becomes a zone for joint surveillance. When you put it all together, it's like a strategic web designed to protect those vital trade routes and, let's be frank, to counter China's expanding naval footprint. So how are they going to pull this off? I mean, how do you actually achieve that kind of strategic control? Well, the answer isn't just about more ships or more troops. The real secret sauce is in the specific, game-changing technologies that are right at the heart of this agreement. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the deal. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. India is moving away from just being a customer, buying American gear off the shelf. Now it's about co-developing and co-producing the next generation of defense tech. We're talking about joint R&D, sharing intellectual property, and building these advanced systems shoulder to shoulder. And just look at the kind of tech they're working on. This is the top shelf stuff. We're talking about MQ-9B Reaper drones for round-the-clock surveillance, co-producing those incredible GE jet engines right there on Indian soil, getting into joint R&D on hypersonic missiles, and even AI-powered cyber defenses. This is all bleeding-edge technology. And to give you an idea of just how deep this partnership goes, check this out. One of the biggest goals is for India to hit 80% local manufacturing for the F-414 jet engine by 2030. 80%. That is a massive transfer of technology and a huge, huge boost for India's own goal of defense self-reliance, what they call Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. Right as this incredible partnership was being cemented, another huge story was breaking, something happening completely in parallel. And this other development, it casts this entire deal, and frankly, the entire global security situation, in a very different, much starker light. So what was it? What was this other big shoe to drop on the world stage that completely changes how we should look at this India-US partnership? Get this, at the exact same time the US was locking in this historic deal with India, it announced a radical shift in its own nuclear policy. It declared its intention to start nuclear weapons testing again, ending a ban that's been in place for more than 30 years. I mean, that is a huge signal that we're heading back to an era of hard power politics. And this timeline really puts that move into context. You go from the very first test in 1945 to the U.S. putting the brakes on with the moratorium in 1992. For decades, the U.S. was at the forefront of both developing and then restraining nuclear testing. So this announcement in 2025, it's a potential U-turn on decades of policy. And it really highlights this broader global trend back towards remilitarization. All right, so let's pull all these threads together. When you look at the whole picture, what does the future really hold? What are the actual risks and rewards of this incredibly deep new partnership? You know, it's a classic case of high risk, high reward. On one hand, the opportunities are massive. A much stronger deterrent against China, a huge leg up for Indian manufacturing, and better security for the whole region. But the risks, they are just as real. You've got bureaucratic red tape that could grind everything to a halt. Political instability in either Washington or New Delhi could completely upend the deal. And of course, this is guaranteed to create more friction with both Russia and China. But if there's one single takeaway from all of this, it has to be this. At its heart, this deal is a fundamental transformation of the relationship. They're leaving behind that old, simple buyer-seller dynamic and becoming true partners, co-developers of the most advanced technology on the planet. And, you know, signing the paper was the easy part. The long-term success of this thing is not a given at all. It's going to depend on actually cutting through all that bureaucracy to get these projects off the ground. It's going to require maintaining deep, deep trust, especially with sensitive tech. And maybe most importantly, it's going to need sustained political will from leaders on both sides, not just now, but for years and years to come. And that leaves us with the final and I think most critical question. This huge shift from being a simple buyer to a co-developer, it's profound. But is this the beginning of a permanent, unbreakable partnership? Or is it just a temporary alignment of interests that could easily fracture when the pressure gets too high? That right there is the billion-dollar question.